I'm Jeff Gard. I'm from Boulder. No matter what anybody tells you, it's still the cannabis capital of Colorado. We're trying to keep it that way anyway. You'd think we could do that. Now, I'd like to thank you, Laura, for bringing me here, and I see a lot of my clients and my friends here today. And anybody who's met with me over these last 18 months has known that my expectations of government are low, to say the least, and that these winds have been blowing for a very long time, and it wasn't difficult to predict that they would piggyback on some of the local regulations from Denver, some of the discussions that they'd had in Boulder, and to see that there would be substantial restrictions on who could own a business, how it was going to be run. And so, for the most part, the focus of my practice has been on compliance, anticipation of compliance, and then going forward to deal with all the administrative review, the hearings, the public hearings, the suspension hearings, the good moral character hearings, which should be interesting, to say the least. And in doing that, I've been working not only with the businesses and the caregivers and the growers, but also with the local governments and trying to advise them about what the real problems and concerns in the industry are, primarily from the concerns of the patients. To be honest with you, if you didn't see this coming as a business, I'm a little bit surprised by that, but the one thing that I agree with everybody that didn't get taken care of were the patients here. It was not considered. And as I look forward at lawsuits, of course, my situation is going to be rolling out compliance as quickly as possible and to continue that process as it evolves. It's going to be very difficult for people to get it together. But there are a lot of things about the medical marijuana legal field which are not going to be touched or litigated in the context of House Bill 1284 litigation. I get calls every day about people living in public housing who are being removed from their public housing because they use medical marijuana. Okay? A Fair Housing Amendments Act lawsuit is currently being gestated right now in our firm. Again, employment. People who've done nothing wrong on the job, whose policies at work require drug testing. There's nothing we can do about the fact that marijuana stays in your system for a substantial period of time, and there is very limited scientific evidence, primarily focusing in the DUI area, if there is any, that can show whether, in fact, you were under the influence at work. But a lot of people are losing their jobs. People on probation throughout the state are being told they cannot use their medicine. They're told that they cannot open and operate as caregivers. This is happening routinely. These are the things directly affecting patients. When the police come across a small grow, 5 plants, 10 plants, usually a patient grow, and they don't know what to do, the first thing they do if there's kids in the house is call social services. And people have 3 times in the last week called my office because the children have been placed into custodial care because they were growing a few marijuana plants, and they were completely legal to do so. But there is no legal precedent to deal with social services. There's no legal precedent to deal with probation or employment or fair housing. And so as I look at the landscape of who I'm going to sue and when, it's going to be focused primarily on the things that are affecting the patients directly. Their housing, their children, their employment. And from there, of course, if lawsuits are brought and joined about things about residency requirements and prior drug felonies and local bans and the 5-patient cap, I think it's an appropriate exercise to join together with the other attorneys and consolidate our resources and consolidate these cases if they're large enough to bring them as class actions so that we can present a united voice. We're not just ticking and tacking in El Paso County and then going to Adams. Okay? Police are still knocking down people's doors, destroying their plants. I have a lawsuit pending against the El Paso County District Attorney's Office in a case. The City of Fountain Police Department is also subject to that lawsuit. And so as I look at who I'm going to sue, as Danielle said, lawsuits are uncertain. I can tell you two things that is not uncertain about them. They're going to take time. They're going to take money. Okay? And all the while, lots of people will be filling the gaps while we try to figure out what's going to happen. And so litigation, as a person who has litigated hundreds and hundreds of cases, I'm a trial lawyer. I just got out of 5 days of felony jury trial up in Boulder. I can tell you it is an option of last resort. Okay? Never undertake to think that lawsuits or lawyers are going to come here and save the day for you. And if we do, after the expense, it's going to be a couple of years from now. And so what we need to do is find a way to figure this out, to comply as quickly as we can, and where there are people simply pushed out because they didn't have the money, or they didn't do anything wrong, or they just simply were pushed out by the local ban type of stuff like they are in Superior or Broomfield, all of Adams County as near as I can figure. Those are the places where I think the attack needs to come the swiftest and the hardest. Because, simply put, I tend to agree with the entire sentiment. You cannot simply create dry counties where it's a constitutional amendment that creates these rights for the patients. And I think if the attorneys and the lawyers that represent them focus on patients first, I think these lawsuits are bound to be more successful than ones that focus on business first.